What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do another video in my countdown to Halloween videos. And I decided why not review one of my all-time favorite horror movie sequels. This is one of the greatest movies in this franchise. It might have went up on my list. We'll see. But I rewatched this movie last night, and it was the first time I watched it on 4K, and I still love this movie today. You know, I'm glad this movie has a following now. It always deserved it. 40 years ago, it deserved it. But now it has it, and that makes me happy. The film I'm talking about is A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. And yes, so this movie is celebrating 40 years next month. It is crazy to think that when I rewatched it the other night, that this movie is going to be 40 years old. I remember being a 5-year-old child sitting behind my living room couch when my older sister's friend brought over Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 2. She sat there, watched them both. Me being too terrified, I could not move. So I sat through the first movie, and I sat through Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and Freddy terrified me. And I did not watch another Nightmare on Elm Street movie until I was a teenager. That's how much Freddy scared me. Nightmare on Elm Street 2, for the longest time, might have been considered like the black sheep of the movies. I've always loved it. And I want to give you like a little backstory. So when I first started making YouTube videos, but most of the time when I would talk about Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and I would say that I love the movie, a lot of people would come back, or some people would come back and say, well, this movie sucks. Why do you love this movie? It's terrible. It's, one of the worst movies in the franchise, if not the worst. And now, almost 20 years since I started making this YouTube channel, the movie has a lot of love. And it always deserved the love. I've always loved this movie. It's like Halloween 3 of that franchise. I've always loved Halloween 3, and now people are loving it, and it has always deserved that love. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is that movie in this franchise. It is a scary film. It's intense. It has some of the best characters in the franchise. It's got some great, stalk and slash moments, some great kills in the film. It's got some iconic scenes. The pool scene being one of the scariest scenes for me when I was a kid. I have vivid memories watching, that pool scene for the first time. Again, being 5 years old behind a couch, not supposed to be watching it, but I could not move because I was terrified. And that scene freaked me out. Freddy jumping out of from the ground, terrorizing all those teenagers around the pool. Then you have that iconic moment where, he says, "You are all my children now." Scary stuff. Like, that was scary. And I rewatched it the other night, and it is still very eerie and very effective. Some of the other things I love about this movie, I love the cast. Mark Patton as Jesse is fantastic. I believe it's Lisa Myers. She plays Kim in the movie, or is it Kim Myers? Kim Myers playing Lisa in the movie. She is great as our lead actress in the movie. And their chemistry is so good in this film. You could tell just by watching this movie that they had a friendship behind the scenes of this, and their friendship continues on in real life. I am so excited to not only see Mark Patton again next month at Scarefest, but I am excited to finally meet Kim Myers. I'm so excited. Like, she is one of my favorite characters in the franchise, and this is going to be the first time I ever get to meet her, and it's exciting. I love their chemistry. The third act where Lisa goes to rescue Jesse and stop Freddy from taking over Jesse's body in the boiler room. Rewatching it the other night, that is such a great third act of the movie, and how she was able to defeat Freddy and bring back Jesse. Like, that was great. Absolutely loved it. Again, the overall cast is great in this. It's a scary movie. Like, I find this movie to be very eerie and very scary still today. Does it, give me nightmares? No, but there's definitely some creepy moments in this movie. Grady's death in this movie is still one of the scariest things. That whole scene where Jesse or Freddy is coming out of Jesse's body and he's tearing, through Jesse's skin. First you see like the claw coming out of Jesse's hand. Like, all of that stuff is still so good almost 40 years later. Absolutely love it. Robert Englund. We gotta talk about Robert Englund. Like, I think Robert might be the scariest in this movie. Like, he's scary in the original movie. That's the first time we see Freddy Krueger. And, especially when you first see that original movie, if it's your first time watching it, he's terrifying. He's in the dark a lot of the time. Tina's death is just one of the scariest things in the franchise, if not the scariest thing. Iconic kill. But, he's terrifying in the original. I think he's scary in New Nightmare. I think he is really scary, if that's the right way to put it. I think he's truly terrifying in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. You have the scene where Lisa first confronts Freddy when, Jesse returns back to her house after Grady's death. And, he's trying to talk about how, like, Freddy wants to come out. And when Freddy appears, again, that's the first time that Lisa's seeing him. And it's so eerie, so effective. That's the first time she has seen Freddy and realizes he is this evil presence that Jesse's been talking about the whole entire time. I really love Jesse as a character. Mark Patton is just so good in this movie. And I know, for a very long time, he got a lot of hate for this movie. And I know that, in his personal life, he was going through stuff, as a gay man in Hollywood in the 80s. And just not even just an actor, but just being gay in the 80s, even, decades after that and decades prior to the 80s, being openly gay, if you were, was, it was very much put against you. You coming out, you being openly out, you got a lot of hate. There's still hate in the world. There's still hate, today for being gay, but it's a lot more accepting now than it was back then. And, I can't imagine growing up in the 80s and, having people just hate you for who you are. But going back to this movie and the release of this movie, he got a lot of hate for it. And he did not deserve it, because his performance is one of the best performances in the franchise. And I just absolutely love Jesse. I would have loved to have seen Jesse return to this world somehow. Maybe sometime, in the future. I doubt it. The Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is up in the air right now. Rather, we'll get another one. But it would have been great to have seen Jesse return in maybe, 3 or 4 or 5 or whatnot. But I know Mark had, a lot of struggles after, making this movie. There's a great documentary out there called My Nightmare on Elm Street. Mark Patton's wonderful documentary talking about his life growing up, when he realized he was gay, moving to New York, then moving to LA, booking Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And then afterwards, again, the movie came out, and even though it was a big hit, Hollywood pretty much either wanted to typecast him or didn't want nothing to do with him. And it was really, really sad. You know, the script for this movie has a lot of gay undertones in it, and not even undertones. There's, you know, moments where, you know, there's a, you know, S&M bar, a leather bar in this movie. It's a, you know, gay bar. And, you know, the writer for the longest time, you know, said, oh, I never wrote it that way. You know, it was never supposed to have gay undertones. It was never supposed to have this. But when you clearly have a scene where there is a gay bar, a gay leather bar in the movie, that's not undertones, and that is not something that you accidentally wrote. You put that in there on purpose. This was clearly, or this clearly did have not only gay undertones, but just gay themed stuff throughout it. This movie's so embraced now, though, and not only for being, you know, one of the gay themed horror movies out there, but people are growing to love it and accept it, and that makes me happy. And, you know, I love this movie so much. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is terrifying. It is the last, well, not the last time, but it would be a very long time before Freddy was ever scary again. And he's scary in this movie. Again, going back to Robert Englund's performance, just terrifying. And at one point, you know, they didn't even bring him back because, you know, they didn't think he deserved the salary that he deserved. You know, Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, became so popular. Within less than a year, people knew who Freddy was. And, you know, when they first started this movie, they had another guy, a stunt double, a stunt man, dressed in the Freddy, you know, costume, the Freddy makeup, and it just didn't work. And there's a couple of like small shots where, you know, you see Freddy, and that is not Robert Englund, and you can tell that that's not Robert Englund. So the studio was like, we need to get this guy back. They brought him back, and, you know, Robert Englund is iconic for this role, and again, very terrifying in this. I love this movie so much. Again, I've always loved it. I'm glad more people love this movie now. It has always deserved the love, but I'm glad it has it now. Being a gay man myself, I'm so happy that there's another gay-themed horror movie out there within Nightmare on Elm Street 2. It's become a cult classic, a cult following, and it remains one of the best Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So let me know what you think of this movie. Happy 40th anniversary to A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 coming up next month. I love Freddy's Revenge, and I hope you do too. So look forward to more videos to come in my countdown to Halloween videos. But I wanted to talk about my love for Nightmare on Elm Street 2 Freddy's Revenge in this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. So, as always, you all are awesome, you all rock. I hope you're having a great weekend. Enjoy this fall weather that we have out here. I hope it's nice wherever you are, and I'll talk to you all later. So, much love, and have a great day. Bye. In with a positive, out with a negative. You know, I did forget to mention how gorgeous this transfer looks. So just a quick kind of like splice in moment here. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 looks and sounds fantastic. I am looking forward to rewatching the other movies on 4K and checking them out. You know, the Blu-rays look good, especially for, you know, early 2000s. And, you know, I have a soft spot for the VHS tapes and the DVDs. But, you know, if you can get this on 4K, if you can watch it on 4K, this is the best the movie's looked in a very long time. So, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 on 4K, highly recommend it. Looking forward to watching the rest in the franchise, and I'll be talking about them all. Like, I want to individually talk about every one of these Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So, just want to throw this in here. Check it out. Beautiful set here. Love it so much. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.